When I think of the community of sports fans, I see it in two aspects. I see it in a positive and a negative aspect. On the positive side, I see a group of people that are just very strong and passionate about the teams they support. They're extremely invested into those teams, and their team success kind of dictates their everyday lives and kind of just the way that they react to things. But with that being said, that's where it kind of turns negative. A lot of times, the results of their team's games can turn kind of toxic. The usage of foul language on social media or even at the ballpark or just within the community of sports, just kind of very toxic and negative aspect or negative actions that can change the perception of non-sports fans of how they would view the community. And with that being said, the way I would describe a fan is somebody that has invested a lot of time, money, emotion, and just a lot of things of those nature into their favorite teams and made the success in the realm of sport in general a part of their culture and their daily lives. Kind of like the textbook said, how the Super Bowl in the United States has turned into a quote-unquote national holiday. Just investing a lot of time into sports and making it a huge part of their culture and how they go about their everyday lives. I think the media definitely does impact fans in the way that we perceive athletes or staff members of sport organizations just because of our accessibility to the media, and we could kind of see, a quick 30-second clip on social media and just generalize a perception of an athlete or somebody that's involved in sports just like that, kind of instantly dictate the way that we perceive. They kind of guide us towards perceptions because they want us to, whether it's a negative or a positive action from somebody within sport that's kind of out for the whole world to see. And I think in that way, the media definitely guides the way that we see people involved with sports and the way that we perceive them. I think an example of a good sports fan community would be the New Orleans Saints and their fans, especially the way that they used the 2009 Super Bowl victory to kind of come together as a community and share the pride for their team and, in a sense, rebuild the community after the tragedy of Hurricane Katrina. That's an example of using sports as a way to rebuild and come together as a community, and I think the way that they carried that pride on their shoulders was definitely a good example of what you'd want to see in a sports fan. And a bad example, in my opinion, would be the Boston Red Sox and their fans, as people within their own franchise have kind of came out and said that racism is kind of prevalent within Fenway Park and their fans, and that's kind of like going back to the community where the actions and results of your team can go toxic within the community of your fans. So that would be definitely an example of fans that you would not want to act like, and a negative perception of fans. I think kind of where we should draw the line as fans is where, I keep repeating myself with this toxic behavior, but definitely anything that is violence or foul language, derogatory slurs, whether it be, racist, homophobic, things of that nature that people kind of just use loosely and have normalized in a sense within toxic fan communities. I think that's where the line is definitely crossed. And when we speak of the hooligans, the fans of the soccer club, I don't really see those as fans, because when you compare the actions of those fans to the fans in the United States, I think they kind of just crave the violence more than actually investing their time into their team. Whereas when you come to the United States, we invest a lot of time into our sports team, and then, of course, sometimes the actions can, turn toxic, but never anything of that nature, whereas they kind of go out of their way to seek and act out in violence, where in the United States, I think the fandom can turn toxic, but it's more related to the actual result of the game, whereas with the hooligans, it's kind of just preconceived and kind of starts before the game even comes to a close. So kind of just to wrap it all up, I think the community of sports is strong. The bond and the things that can come out of it are obviously very incredible and can be very positive. But on the other note, sports also can bring out kind of the worst of people. And it's kind of up to you as a fan to kind of decide what your team's actions and results are going to dictate how you act. So I think the sports community is very strong, whether it be in a positive or negative light.